Micah Bell. These two words are enough to instantly ignite the burning flames of hatred in people familiar with Red Dead Redemption 2. This, if I may say, man has observed in ourselves so many vile and low personality traits that by the end of the game we don't have absolutely no questions about his deal with the lawyers. Yes, Micah is definitely the epitome of moral decline. Accordingly, Micah is a rat. At least, they want us to think so. I'm talking of course about the writers from Rockstar Games. I think few people would argue with the fact that they did their job truly skillfully, including by playing with the audience expectations. Agree. Sitting down for a detective or thriller, you don't want the plot twist to be seen a mile away. After all, in this case, watching the development of the story will no longer be so interesting. But what does that have to do with Micah Bell, you ask? Indeed, from his actions and behavior almost from the very beginning, it becomes clear that he does not put the gang above all, and we don't even want to start talking about loyalty. I admit, I thought so too before I saw one YouTube video where a Russian guy explains his theory that Micah Bell is indeed not the rat, but someone else in the gang who you definitely never thought could be a rat. I was shocked by how believable the theory sounded, so I decided to correct the text and make my own video in English, so that everyone in the world could hear about it. I express huge gratitude to the author of the video, and the link to his original video is in the description if anyone who's watching this right now knows Russian language. Sit back, bring tea and goodies. Today we're going to take a look at what is arguably the biggest lie in Rockstar Games history, and believe me, the longer you will watch this video, the more sense it is going to make. Micah Bell's existence of a kind of code of honor is rather opaquely hinted at by game conventions. For example, rewards after completing missions with his participation. For his rescue from the prison, he gives us a rather valuable item, the second holster, and in a robbery quest, buying Stagecoach, when there's no real traitor around, everything goes smoothly enough, not counting the intervention of the O'Driscolls. The reward is impressive, like in the mission where we rescued him. We can say that this is the first serious money as for the gang and for Arthur personally. At the beginning of the game, Micah still made awkward attempts to make friends with Arthur, and even called him brother several times. Whether it is sincere or not is a big question, but the biggest inconsistency appears in the epilogue. We learn that all 6 years on the run, side by side with Dutch, was none other than Micah. Not Javier, not Bill, but the goddamn snitch. Considering that the lawyers were hunting precisely Dutch and the money from Blackwater, then for the 6 years there should have been plenty of opportunities for betrayal. Something doesn't add up here. Before moving from defense to attack, I would like to remind of something that is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle in our impromptu investigation. Uncle brought a prostitute named Abigail Roberts to the camp. She joined the gang, offering her professional skills. As a result of an affair with John Marston, Abigail became pregnant. He refused to take responsibility for the child, insisting that he is not a father at all. Jack, that was the name of the boy, was later brought up by all gang members. Jack was 1 year old when John suddenly left, cutting off all contact with the gang. Arthur was pissed off by Marston's act. He saw a great betrayal in it. Although, about a year later, the unlucky father still returned. Arthur never forgave him, at least not so quick, whereas Dutch and the others greeted John with open arms. Note that John has no personal quests at all. He asks for nothing from Arthur, does not go fishing or hunting with him. Even for upgrading his tent, no thanks will follow. It seems like he doesn't care deeply about what is happening in the gang. As you might have guessed, in front of you is the suspect number 1. Before you throw tomatoes at me, let me explain. No matter how unexpected this version did not seem to be, two important circumstances converge in it. The first is the lack of an alibi, that literally no one knows where John disappeared throughout the year. Moreover, his departure was as spontaneous as the return. It turns out that one of the reasons for his return could be a contract with the Pinkertons. We don't care if he did it volunteered or was under pressure. The second on the list is a motive. Although it is not known why Marston was captured and how he was blackmailed, we know with what moral torment his, in fact, escape from the camp is connected. If he didn't accept the child and adopted paternity, that means he knew for sure that Abigail had a relationship with someone else, criminals, perhaps even with many of the men in the gang. It is quite possible to imagine John's way of thinking, in which he could not accept this and believe that Abigail should only belong to him, preferably with all the trailer in the form of Jack. Next, I will clearly present the entire chronology of events from John's perspective, so before writing a denial or your own version in the comments, please watch the video till the end. So in order to dive into the rabbit hole, we will need to rewind time. At the moment when John had just returned to camp, which was roughly in the mid-1890s, Dutch and Ada have welcomed him quite hearted, and in general, John was given a really warm welcome. However, Arthur, unlike everyone else, considers him a traitor, which he directly declares. By the way, this is the first time John is spoken of as a traitor. A little later, Micah brings the ferry hijacking plan, ferrying money. While the gang learns of the plan, John learns of the general scam of Hosea and Arthur, which they will do away from the main mess and accordingly will be taken out from under the blow. This gives John the opportunity to give the Pinkertons the gang with a light heart. However, as we already know, the gang not only leaves but also steals $150,000. In the second chapter, Milton comes to Morgan with a tempting offer. It turns out that Milton is well aware of the events that happened 20 years ago, how Arthur joined the gang as a teenager and how Dutch messed with his head. Such details could only be found out from 3 people very well and for a long time who knew Arthur, and this is Dutch, Hosea, and John. Further on, the plot follows a raid on a train. Before this moment, Arthur often teased John about his narrow-mindedness, but here he praised him for his ingenuity. John seems to know something hidden from the others. After that comes the sheep and goats mission. Once again, John demonstrates remarkable ingenuity. He famously negotiates with a buyer of sheep and drags Arthur to a meeting with Dutch. Marston knows very well that Strauss will be present on the spot, who is useless as a fighter but extremely useful as a witness. In this mission, John is the first but not the last time captured and like clockwork together with Strauss. By the end, the bandits got off with little blood. You can even say they were lucky, except for Strauss because the blood was just his, which is why there was a need to urgently retreat to the camp for medical help. By the way, a little later we find out that behind the scenes, John carried out a supposedly suicidal act. He drove back to Valentine to collect the money owed to him from the sheep dealer. I remind you, after our visit, the lawyers got in their ears and promptly cordoned off the city. Therefore, leave it safe and besides alone will be simply unrealistic. What interests me the most is the cutscene itself with this action. This is the moment Milton addresses John with the question, "Who are you?"
Rip Van Winkle. Huh. Good day, sir.
Have you ever wondered why John? Not to anyone else, not even to Micah, although if the real traitor is he, then it would make more sense. Milton does this defiantly to deflect even the slightest suspicion from John. Remember, the Pinkertons have already encountered John in Valentine and then suddenly a federal agent had a sudden attack of amnesia? Why not? It is convenient. Just declare that you have never seen one of the co-founders of the gang in the eyes, even more so you don't know his name. Voila! It's in the bag. Just in case, let me remind you, this is not said by an ordinary agent, but by Andrew Milton himself, a man who fanatically pursued the gang on his heels and knew the slightest details from the biography of Arthur. Draw your own conclusions. As a result of the negotiations, one thing became clear: neither side will compromise. Pinkertons won't receive Dutch and the gang will not receive the long-awaited freedom that Dutch has dreamed of all these years. Milton made it clear that he had moved onto the toughest scenario. If someone from the gang doubted it, then it abruptly disappeared with the death of Hosea. That's it. The stakes are up, the situation is tense to the limit, but not for John. They just get him arrested and Abigail disappears as if by magic. Does Micah really care about Abigail? No, unlike John. Either Abigail is incredibly lucky or she's part of the deal. But let's go back to the bandits who have successfully escaped and at the same time John is sent to the prison. Well, the fact that he's not going to be hanged immediately after the arrest, as we understood, fits well into the framework of our theory. If it seemed to you that I went too far with John's accusations, then from the following hypothesis, some of you may fall off the chairs, so hold on tight. What if Dutch is not as crazy as it seems at first glance? No, I'm not that conning theories to doubt his insanity completely, but just listen. We already know that the developers at Rockstar Games are known for their extremely pedantic attention to detail and meticulous development of dialogues. Will they really miss the chance to sow doubt in the minds of players with a character whose trust both author and us are losing over time? Let's go back to the 5th chapter. From constant setbacks and head trauma, Dutch's paranoia continues to progress, and what we have seen on Guarma just reminds us of the pure madness. Dutch kills a grandma for no reason, talks incoherent delirium, and discovers new talents on the go. He suddenly understands Spanish, then he felt something. Only thing that's missing is for him to open a third eye. Generally, we are led to the fact that it is not longer possible to listen to Dutch, but you have to listen to him. He has aggravated bestial scent. He declares that John is a traitor and cites the same thesis that I voiced earlier about the bank and about Abigail.
So what happened with John in that bank?
He survived. Unlike dear Hosea and Lenny, the only one they took alive. Why is that, you think?
I don't know. I was already on the roof. I didn't see it.
And Abigail, I presume she was able to slip away in time.
What are you talking about?
But by that time, Arthur and we already have a clear opinion. Dutch is a nutcase and Micah is a traitor. Finally, we move to Beaver Hollow, where we are immediately confused by Molly's confession. The degree of voltage continues to rise. Then, despite Dutch's ban, we release John from prison, and if it wasn't for us, it is likely that the things would have improved. From this moment on, the events develop extremely fast. Since John got back into the gang, he did not miss the chance to help his comrades in a train robbery. As a result, the train for some reason does not stop at Saint Denis, although he should have. But furthermore, he's taking them straight into an ambush. John takes a bullet and falls from the train. Dutch, along with Javier and Bill, go to rescue him, but it turns out that they themselves are forced to flee from a large patrol. It is all from the words of Dutch himself. Everyone thinks that John is dead from this point on. At this time, the Pinkertons visit the camp and kidnap Abigail. And again, Abigail. Why not Tilly? Not Mary Beth? Not Grimshaw? The question is already rhetorical. The deal is done. The gang's lair is known and will soon be destroyed. John is officially dead and will receive his Abigail and the Pinkertons a gang and a key to the money. But something went wrong. Arthur and Sadie get in the way. They climb to save Abigail, Sadie is captured, and when Arthur arrives, Milton sees that he is very ill and is no longer so dangerous like before. Why then does Milton tell Arthur about Micah? It is obvious that he is referring to Abigail. Milton knows that he will need to let go Abigail, and since she has yet to meet John, she should not know that because of him the whole gang almost died and Jack went missing. But it turns out that Abigail kills Milton and the whole pack escapes to camp, along with the money key. John has to rise again, and a miracle, again! He's not only escaped death, but was also captured by a large patrol while being wounded. Now, John only needs to understand where Abigail is and fulfill his part of the deal, return the money and turn in Dutch. Surprised Dutch is quite understandable. He saw the patrol and saw the wounded John. He simply did not have a chance. Now there's nowhere to retreat and Dutch raises the question of betrayal point blank. And here, at the most tense, obviously losing moment for John, Pinkertons, whom he brought to the camp, arrive. Time for the final chase. The Pinkertons suddenly cool down to Arthur so much that Mike and Arthur have a lot of time for the last battle and the tragic ending. As I said before, even 6 years later, Micah did not turn in Dutch, and John, meanwhile riding through the world of the game, tells everyone that Arthur saved him. Rockstar perfectly understands which strings to pull to get the necessary reaction from the player. More tales of Arthur the Savior can play for John's therapeutic role, as if Marston seemed to be trying to convince himself that he was morally free from obligations to the Pinkertons, and if a pure soul can assign the money. Only Pinkertons have a different opinion on this matter. They should A. return the money and B. catch Dutch. And now imagine that it is with this input that we come to the plot of Red Dead Redemption 1. John's death in this case looks more natural than following the results of the first part by itself, where there was no logic except for the meanness of Agent Ross, but there was certainly redemption. If you like this video, then punch the like button. By the way, I have edits. Yes, I'm making game edits. I have edits about John Marston, about Arthur Morgan. I have only low honor and high honor edit about Arthur Morgan and about Dutch. So if you want to see all these edits, the link is in the description. And yeah, if you like this video, then punch the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I wish you all the best, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.